Well, well. Couple of things. First off, quick camera trick for the audience at home. I got me a fucking great screen. Let's go. First off, and that was primarily because of donations from everybody. So thank you very much for funding the operation and making this place a little bit better. I am once again the host of this channel, the voice
founder, and
behind
CEO of
the
Red
video.
Army.
The command general, whatever the hell you want to call it, of the Red Army, which is the fan base. For those of you who have just subscribed today after watching Chaos Week 13, welcome to the Red Army. It's a good to have everybody here. Jesus Christ, that thing blew the fuck up. I tell you what, 8,000 goddamn views.
The General Secretariat of the General Secretary.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I swear, at the start, man, you looked like you were coming out of Snoop Dogg's van or something.
We're already off the rails. Let's go.
Oh, God. It's going to be a long night, isn't it?
What the f*** was that?
Brother, you need more.
As always, I am the general of the Red Army, the runner of the show, and the voice behind the ship posting. I'm Red. To my left, your right, I believe, is Alan Nadeau. Nadeau? How you pronounce it? The third.
Alan Nadeau the third.
Who has his own YouTube channel. Go follow him if you want. And also, to the other side of me, my left, your right, would be Mr. Akbar fan, friend of the show. Good to have you back after a couple of weeks off.
Actually, Akbar's on my left. I'm on the right.
Oh, who cares?
From my vantage point.
Who the fuck cares? All right, so we got major news thanks to Michigan State and Memphis going long on ESPN. The college football rankings just dropped in the last
forever.
20 minutes. But first, we need to do a little self-reflection. As is tradition on the show, we start off by talking about our own teams for a few minutes before we get into the meat of the episode. So if you'll indulge me, I will just say thank fucking God Indiana did not show up in Columbus on Saturday. We have stopped the curse of 11 Indiana. It shall not come, at least last week. Instead, Ohio State walked into their own house, took care of business, knocked off Indiana, and we are all but guaranteed a spot in the playoffs, as you'll see here in the rankings in just a moment. And it is, of course, hate week here in Ohio, mainly Columbus. You got an M, cross it out, because them yellow and those maize and blue bastards are going to be coming up to Columbus, and they're going to be in for a world of hurt on Saturday.
I thought they were orange and white, according to Sicko's committee. If you can put up that image, that'd be awesome, because I actually kind of liked that. I kind of like the reversal colors and style for rivalries.
Akbar, why don't we talk about how your Sooners did this weekend before I just mute you?
Oh, you're not done talking about Ohio yet?
No, I'm done. I'm going to have more to say in a vlog I upload later on. But go on.
I don't know what really to say, because this was like, as you can clearly tell with the Harvey Dent thing, I root for both teams. That's the thing. I mean, OU is my main team, Alabama is my backup, but it pained me. I mean, here's the thing. I still don't know how to fully react to that. I really did not think that Oklahoma was going to win that game. Not just win. They trounced Alabama. This is the worst Alabama lost in years.
And it probably would have been better if your offense was better. So,
hey, freaking take it.
Keep in mind, Sooners did all of that majority on the ground. That was by running it up their ass all game long.
Yeah, because they got no wide receivers. Another one fell down in that game.
What quarterback? I don't know. What's a quarterback in Oklahoma? I'm proud of your Sooners, man. Well fucking done.
I know, and they're going bowling again. Probably going to the Liberty Bowl or something. But
nah, I think it'll be the Alamo Bowl. It's usually
what?
the final destination of mediocre Big 12 teams. Oh, sorry, SEC now, I guess.
Hey, Oregon knows the Alamo Bowl very well.
Well, that's why I said the Liberty Bowl.
All right.
Anyway,
well, unfortunately.
And wait.
Finish your thought. Yeah.
It's great that they're bowling. They keep the bowl streak alive for I think it was now 25 straight years, I believe.
Good Lord.
Yeah, they don't. I think they've probably lost more bowls than they've won. Maybe, I don't know, but they've the bowl streak continues. It kind of washes that horrible Missouri loss out of the mouths, because that one that Cowboys Commanders game the other day was like that, the college version of that game. But so we got that, at least washed that loss out, but it would have been nice to have got that win. But whatever, they're going bowling. The only issue that I'm really having is that Alabama is now probably out of the playoffs unless bar a complete upcoming chaos, which will more than likely happen, because I'm gonna go on a wild guess that I'm gonna make one quick prediction that Miami will beat SMU in the championship game of the ACC, and that will knock SMU completely out of the playoff picture.
You're way ahead here, but that's a hell of a prediction. Alan, real quick. Ducks down their asses.
Hold on. I just did the math. Y'all have been to a bowl game every year since 1999. You've won 11 of them.
That's not good. What the fuck?
You're close to mid. I mean, you haven't won a bowl game since 2021 when Lincoln Riley, took over, when Bob Stoops came back to head coach, literally like the bowl game after Lincoln Riley left.
Yeah,
that was a win in the Alamo Bowl. So there's that.
But then you also have to kind of remember who was Oklahoma playing in a lot of those bowl games. They were playing a lot of years they were playing the big bowls. So it's just
let's see here. Lost in the Independence Bowl in Bob Stoops' first year. Then you win the Orange Bowl and you were national champions in 2000. Win the Cotton Bowl, win the Rose Bowl, lose the Sugar Bowl, lose the Orange Bowl, win the Holiday Bowl, lose back-to-back Fiesta Bowls, lose in the BCS Championship, win 3 out of the next 4 in the Sun, Fiesta, Insight, and Sugar, losing the Cotton Bowl in 2012. Then you lose the fucking Russell Athletic Bowl in 2014 after going to Sugar Bowl the year prior. You lose the Orange Bowl in 2015, so you had a rebound year. Win the Sugar Bowl, lose the Rose, Orange, and Peach Bowls in back-to-back-to-back years. Although probably somewhere, no, because I don't think you made the college football playoff any of those years. And then again, you won the Cotton Bowl, you won the Alamo Bowl, and then these past 2 years you've lost the Cheez-It Bowl and the Alamo Bowl.
All right.
Well, like I said,
and in 2022 you were 6 and you finished 6 and 7. So
yeah, like I said, OU played a lot of the big bowls, so you were going to be playing like the best. I mean, some of the best teams in the country. So obviously, that one's case of it's not surprising that they lose quite a few of those. It's not like they kept showing up to they were playing a 6-6 team or something every freaking year for a bowl.
I mean, yeah, sure, true, but anyway. All I have to say is
pause real quick. I need you to pause and stage some graphics.
I'm working on it. Hold on. Hold on.
Shout out to Vol Bill for name dropping Mystery Science Theater 3000. A container ship gets hit by tidal waves in the movie Gorgo. Tom, Mike, for what it's worth, my heart will go on.
All right.
So, Alan, finish your
Oregon,
point.
We were on a bye. I just double checked. No real updates on Jordan Birch or Tez Johnson, but Dan Lanning's not going to give that shit up easy. It's always next man up mentality either way. If they play, they play. If they don't, they don't. I think with the bye week, especially for Tez, we should be able to get him back. And we're going to need everyone to make sure we beat the fucking shit out of the goddamn Huskies. No Washington curse this year. No. You Huskies will go back in your crates. You will go back where you came from. Actually, no, we have to go play them on the road, don't we? Shit. Okay. So we will put you in your crates and we're gonna go back to
And
Oregon,
you
undefeated, #1 fucking seed. We're gonna go to the Big Ten championship game, probably
Done,
play
sorry,
Ohio State again, beat them
It's still
again,
not done.
and move along and maintain that #1 seed.
He's
La, la,
still
la.
not done. All right, now we're done. All right, boys. It's time for what everybody's here for. Now on the stage. Oh shit! Hold on a second here. Let me. Hold up. Nope. Nope. Nope.
Cynical, shut
there
up.
we go. All right.
Close
It ain't
enough.
perfect, but damn it, we'll do it. All right. So here is your current bracket for the college football playoff based on rankings dropped a little while ago. So currently, the top four remains virtually unchanged.
got the
Oregon,
front-
number one.
Yep.
Texas in the second. Miami in the third. Go ahead, Akbar.
I was going to say we have our front runners, conference front runners. Big Ten front runner Oregon at number one. SEC technically front runner number 3 in the 2 seed. Number 3 Texas. ACC. You get it. ACC. No, continue. Red. My bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I
And
just
then we
can't.
have the team that almost lost to bitch ass Wyoming, and thank God Ashton Genty is okay because Boise State, if Genty got hurt, and by the way, he ended up fucking finishing just short of 200 yards, had a touchdown. Bro had another Ashton Genty game the rest of the way. But if he gets hurt, that's your Jordan Travis moment. That's your fucking Joey Galloway is talking about Indiana needing to sit their starting quarterback so that he doesn't get Jordan Travis against Ohio.
Why not a little
Hey,
Spanish league?
Not going to rehash your rivalry with Joey Galloway this week. All right. He
I'm
hasn't
just
said
saying,
anything
man,
controversial
it's Ashton
yet for this
Genty.
week. I understand. We're not going to start that shit again. Good Lord. We got to stay on.
He's an alumni of your fucking team, goddammit.
I don't care if he was, a player for my team or if he was actively rooting for my team. The problem is that, he was talking about how Indiana should bench their starting quarterback. They didn't, and they still lost. It doesn't matter. Nobody got hurt. We move on. So, going back through it now. So, kind of remind everybody how this all fucking works. So, the number one thing I want you to remember is the automatic buys go to conference champions, but it's not required to be power conference champions. So that's why you got Boise State from the Mountain West in as the 4 seed, getting a first round bye to a New Year's 6 bowl game. And why Arizona State has to play a road game in this bracket against Ohio State. They get in the playoffs automatically because they're projected to be the conference champion because they are the highest ranked team in their conference. Now, I want to make something extremely clear here that we're not seeing right now. Tulane is currently ranked 17th. Army and Tulane will play for the American in 2 weeks. All right. Army fell out of the top 25 entirely after losing to Notre Dame. It is what it is there. But let's say Tulane wins the American. Arizona State loses Saturday and does not make the Big 12. And let's say BYU and Iowa State either don't make the Big 12 or lose. Guess what that means for the Big 12? They would be completely out of the college football playoff, and Tulane would represent the American. 2 group of 5 schools would be in the playoff if that were to happen. Okay? So again,
we need that chaos, bro.
Championships are top 5 conference champions per the playoff rankings. That does not mean it is Power 4 and 1 group of 5. It is 5 best conference champions. Point blank. Are we clear on
Yeah, pretty much.
Mhm.
So, let's kind of
Right now,
run
I'm
through
looking at
something.
I'm looking at
Let's-
like a
let's-
two. I'm sorry, I wanted to quickly say this. I'm looking at two as of right now. If the playoffs started right now, we're looking at two. We're looking at We're looking at two conference games, essentially Georgia and Tennessee rematch, and then Penn and Indiana finally playing each other.
Yeah, I know. That's the one thing that kind of surprised me a little bit. Yeah, you got that right, Kurzov. That's what I was saying in the chat a minute ago. It's the one thing that honestly did kind of surprise me. And again, the committee is not required to separate the playoff bracket by conference. They're not going to try to prevent conference rematches. So that's why in this current bracket, you would see Georgia playing host to Tennessee again. That's why you would see Penn State and Indiana going at it in Happy Valley. Granted, they didn't play each other this season, but they would still be going at it. It's all about where the numbers lie and where the rankings lie, okay? And I got to say, the committee, I think, got this one about what everybody was expecting. I kind of was thinking coming into this that the overall would be, they would try to shoehorn in Alabama or shoehorn in a 3-loss SEC team right there. But I think the message that they're sending to everybody else, because you can see right here, first two teams out right now are Clemson and Alabama. Clemson could sneak their way in if they were to win their game Saturday and Miami loses and then win the ACC. They could also sneak it in as an at-large team if they even make the championship game and could potentially have 3 ACC teams in the playoff instead of 3 SEC teams. It just really depends on where things go from here. But Alabama is behind Clemson, and they would be the second one out right now. Ole Miss is behind them. South Carolina is behind them.
Absolute chaos.
It is, yeah. Like, I think the committee is sending a pretty clear message here. They will not put in a 3-loss team unless they have absolutely no choice. And that's honestly all I fucking wanted. I don't want a 3-loss SEC team in the playoffs unless there's absolutely no choice in the matter. Simply put. Okay, let's say hypothetically, all right? Hypothetically, all right? Let's say Alabama beats Auburn. Georgia loses the SEC championship game to Texas. All right, whatever. All of a sudden, Georgia has 3 losses. Are you going to eliminate them?
Point, but you have to determine
Depends.
who has the worst losses, Georgia or Alabama. The problem is Alabama lost to mid Vanderbilt and mid Oklahoma. Georgia lost to Ole Miss, who's been a playoff contender most of this year and now might not make it in, but they've been a contender. They lost to Alabama, who they themselves, well, we know the gist here, and then they could lose to Texas. So
It depends
Georgia-
on it would depend on the loss. If
Yeah.
we're talking like a real close game that ends on like a game-winning field goal or something, I think you'd still keep Georgia in. You drop them to 12 maybe. But that being said, if they get absolutely just curb stomped, and it's not even a close match, then I could see leaving them out and letting one of the other SEC teams in.
So
yeah, but again,
let's-
it just depends on the losses. I mean, again, Georgia
Okay.
lost to Georgia's three. If Georgia loses to Texas, which by the way, that first matchup, I hope Texas is prepared. But
No, they
if
would
Georgia loses to Texas in this situation, then again, their 3 losses are all coming to Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas. Alabama's 3 losses have come to Oklahoma, Vanderbilt,
And Tennessee.
and who the fuck was the other one?
Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah.
They lost to
and
Tennessee by 7.
No, this
They lost
is
to Vanderbilt
Arizona
by
ISP
7.
half and half. And we're not sponsored. This shit's just good.
They lost. The worst loss was against a mid
Wait, we're sponsored?
Oklahoma.
Who the fuck would pay me?
It was
We do when we
DraftKings
have
Sports.
the available funds.
But anyway,
Sorry, Akbar.
20. They lost to Oklahoma by 21 points.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's worse than Georgia's losses. Georgia lost like how much did they lose to Ole Miss? Did somebody have that score?
Not by much.
They lost by a
Not by
touchdown
much.
to Alabama.
Let me pull it up. Well, here, keep in mind with the loss to Alabama. Alabama was up by like 4 fucking touchdowns and then
How
let
did that
Georgia back
happen?
in the game. I
still
still
don't
to
believe
this
that.
day, do not know how. We watched that shit live on stream. I
Oh,
was having a
and
full-
Walker brings up a good point. I almost forgot. I was going to mention it, but I kind of forgot for a second there. Highlight his comment, Red. You got to point this out. Texas A&M. We almost completely forgot about them. What happens
They are
if they
ranked
run
20th.
the table? What happens
So
if
to
they run the
answer your
table?
question, Akbar, Georgia actually lost to Ole Miss by 18 points.
Ooh, yeah, I know it. I know it was more
I
than
forgot
7.
about that.
Yeah.
Georgia beat
So,
Texas by
if-
15. It's all fucked.
So here's the thing: if Texas loses to A&M, Georgia then automatically jumps into the top 4 of the college football playoff. Texas probably drops to about where Georgia is, maybe given a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because A&M is also ranked. But then that now sets up a situation where Georgia will probably steamroll A&M next week
Maybe.
or in the college football in their championship game.
Maybe.
However, for the sake of Ag, I would love it if A&M pulls off the upset back to back, knocks off Texas, knocks off Georgia. They become the SEC champions, and then they jump into the top 4. And then what the fuck happens?
What would happen is
Baby!
Alabama and Clemson would be in. That's what
Huh?
would happen. Alabama and Clemson would be in
'Cause-
because immediately that could potentially knock off 2 teams. Yeah, we would hear Bull Muscle cheering and exploding all the way from Hawaii. So, good for
He'd be
the
like a
show.
volcano going off too soon.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Yeah.
What the f was that?
You're so close.
Not even determined. It's either Texas or A&M. No Tennessee. No Volunteers. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the SEC is pretty much all locked up. We'll get to this later on because we do want to kind of break down more of the conference by conference scenarios here later in the stream. We're kind of jumping ahead a little bit, so I really want to stick closely to the current results that we're looking at right now. So, obviously, I do want to play a little game of what if here and there. But I think a couple of things are very obvious to me at this point. There's a few teams in this bracket that are all but certain to be in the college football playoff, regardless of if they win this Saturday. I would dare to say Oregon and Ohio State are 2 of those names.
Mhm.
I don't know.
And
I
I
don't
would
know
say
about-
Texas is the 3rd.
I don't fully know about Ohio State, man.
Why not?
What happens if they lose to Michigan?
Well, consider
Barring-
this.
Barring
the
absolute
other-
insanity, because I'm pretty sure Ohio State's going to probably win this one. But again, I thought Oklahoma was going to get absolutely steamrolled by Alabama, and look how that turned out. Okay, so we don't know anything anymore.
And hey, Michigan did almost beat Indiana. Michigan, if not for some coaching fuck ups, they could have beaten Indiana. So,
We'll get to that point later, Walker.
like, just because Michigan is mid this year doesn't mean you can take them lightly.
No.
Indiana,
No.
they
No.
could
It's a
have knocked
rivalry.
off both of you motherfuckers. And then what
No
happened?
one in this state is taking those goddamn fucking Wolverines lightly. They've beaten us 3 times in a
not be.
row. Okay, we literally cannot lose this game.
Yeah, but it
The
was
state will absolutely
losing 3 in a
lose
row.
its
But that's
mind.
kind of that's kind of you technically should lose this one as well because of karma for beating them 15 out of 16 before the three-peat.
Oh, dude, fuck that. We still believe it or not, are trailing the all-time series record.
Yeah.
Like Michigan beat Ohio State the first 20 years in a row before we finally beat Michigan, because that was the era of the rabid Wolverines that tore up college football in the early 1900s. So
Yeah.
I think that this is probably, I mean,
Relying on the old run and
people
gun, you say instead you can't throw the ball like you're throwing a full try motor through the air.
yeah, back when that racist Fielding Yost was running the goddamn team, they were an absolute force, weren't they? But hey, whatever. All right, so I would say that if Ohio State loses on Saturday, number one, expect a video. Two, because I'm going to need to pour my sadness into something besides the bottom of a whiskey bottle.
Gonna need that Titanic
Two,
bottle of Jägermeister.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ethan. That Buckeye game on Saturday was perfect.
Bro might need to go to Billy's house and raid his alcohol closet.
All right, so I think Ohio State, if we lose, if we lose Saturday, that will do two things. Number one, that'll make the state fucking explode. Second, Penn State would go to Indianapolis, which immediately puts everything into kind of flux. Right now, we're looking at 4 teams from the Big Ten making it to the playoff. Okay,
which is probably what they want. Let's be real, because Indiana has to play Purdue, and there's no fucking way Purdue is beating them, unless Indiana's that fucking rattled. Because Purdue only has one win all season. So
Purdue and Indiana hate each other's guts, though. I mean, that you can't. People forget, rivalry games. You kind of got to throw out the record books, as Bull Muscle tells me all the time. He keeps on telling me in the lead up to the Lone Star Showdown renewal with Texas and the Aggies, just throw all the record books out the window. It is fucking gonna be. It's gonna be massive.
Yeah, meanwhile, Oklahoma has to play the bastard child of rivalry week, and now apparently now their rival is LSU, I guess, for the last game of the season, because you
fuckers wouldn't bring OK State with you to the SEC, you cowards.
No, Oklahoma State has to go play Deion Sanders in Colorado, who, by the way, I want to point this out. He actually said today that regardless of what happens this weekend against Oklahoma State, this will not be the last time you see Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders in a Buffalo's jersey, which means they're going to play the bowl game, which is fucking huge, because what has been the problem with bowl games is a lot of top stars not playing, depending on the situation, and I understand trying to get to the draft or whatever, but to have Shedeur and Travis, both of whom are top 5, Shedeur at minimum a top 10 pick, to both play in a bowl game, that's huge. That's commitment.
Let's just be real, okay? What do I always say on this channel? Money talks.
But Deion is Deion.
There is definitely going to be some NIL considerations here going forward for a bowl game.
I just want to say, though, why the heck did Oklahoma have to play Missouri a few weeks ago? They had an old rivalry set up. Why didn't they save that for rivalry week and let Arkansas and LSU play for the boot again?
When was the last time anybody told themselves, man, I can't wait for Mizzou and Oklahoma to hook up one more time, because those rivalry games were so fucking chaotic and
it
crazy.
Made more sense because we had that because beforehand we had that I forget who did that video of the whole 7 overtimes between LSU and Texas A&M, but it's like, look, LSU and Texas A&M had to have that freaking rivalry because Texas A&M was brought into the SEC, and they were like, well, we need our rivalry stuff, and like Missouri's closer, borders Arkansas and all that stuff. So
Sorry, I was looking at something.
I saw your jaw drop to the floor, and I'm immediately wondering what the fuck are you looking at?
No, it was an NXT highlight. Don't worry about it.
No,
all right, whatever.
Anyways, that's what I'm saying. I love the idea of rivalry week. I love that, but I'm just saying the SEC had a perfect solution, and yet instead we get an Oklahoma and LSU rivalry. Now, I don't know right now. It's going to be for the next 2 years in a row, maybe, but. Oh yeah, because Nebraska and Oklahoma, that was old Big 7, Big 8 stuff. Same with Missouri. Obviously we had Bedlam, but
so I'm going to just I'm just going to be upfront here. I don't give a shit about Oklahoma's rivalries for one very important reason. They have Red River with Texas.
Yeah, I'm just
They
saying.
got that, and they willingly don't play at the end of the season because Texas has to deal with A&M now. There's no other rivals for Oklahoma besides Nebraska. Nebraska's in a completely other conference. But what about OK State? Completely other conference. Sooners, when they came over, it's kind of, they had to cut all that shit behind. So sticking to the bracket again, trying to stay there. I'm going to be most curious, honestly, as we go into this final weekend on what happens with a couple of games specifically. We'll get more depth in them, but I'm not really looking at Oregon and UWs because I think Oregon's in the playoff no matter what happens. They could lose this week. They could lose the Big Ten title game. They're probably still going to be in. I'm looking at Lone Star because if A&M beats Texas and then A&M beats Georgia, you're right. That's a massive fucking chutzpah that's going to have to be resolved by the committee. And I mean, I think that would honestly lock out Alabama. I'm looking at Tennessee versus Vanderbilt because if Tennessee trips and falls, they're out. Looking at Notre Dame USC. If Notre Dame trips and falls, they're out. SMU, I think, is pretty much a lock. I would damn near say they're all about a lock at this point, considering they're the only one-loss team, one of the only one-loss teams that is not considered a conference champion. And I would say Penn State's pretty much a lock. Once Penn State could lose on Saturday, they're probably still going to be in the playoff come, 2 Sundays from now. So what I want to kind of really dig a little deeper into here is what about Clemson? I want to dig a little deeper into Clemson right now because it's something that we got to keep in mind, okay? Miami
has to play South Carolina.
Clemson's got, the Palmetto Bowl against South Carolina on Saturday. Big game, big rivalry. Clemson does not – I said this in my Chaos video that some of you guys loved and appreciated. Thank you. That Clemson had to win to make it. They don't. They could literally lose the Palmetto Bowl and still make the ACC championship if Miami falls to Syracuse, which is something that I heard today kind of perked my eyebrows up. Syracuse has this guy from Ohio State named Kyle McCord. He's kind of an air raid weapon. It's going to be an absolute missile war between those two teams in the old Carrier Dome come Saturday. Miami's defense is
global thermonuclear war.
Yeah, it's going to be global thermonuclear war
games. That's WWE's thing. What are you fucking talking about?
No, that's a Digimon thing. Shout out to
I'm being smart. Fucking red.
We cannot stay on topic to save our lives tonight.
We've been hacked. Break the signal. We must react immediately.
So,
good old robot.
Here's a good question, right? Alabama needs to have a lot happen here to make the playoffs. What is the path for Alabama? Clemson, if they lose or win, they just need Miami to lose, and then they can go to the ACC title game and play for a spot in the playoff.
So here's a list of different things that I'm looking at across this fucking schedule, right? Okay. So let's start off with Boise State. They have to play a 5-6 Oregon State team. Oregon State, they need to win this game to get into a bowl game. You know damn well they're going to be playing hard as hell, and it all depends on the health of Ashton Jeanty. Yes, he finished that last game, but we don't know I don't know if we know what the injury is or how severe it is. He was able to play, so we should be fine. Georgia, they're playing against Georgia Tech. And in the words of the USF, there's this thing. It's called getting Danned, where Double Dan beats everybody else in the USF. He is a Georgia Tech fan. So, Georgia Tech, if they somehow summon the spirit of Demaryius Thomas and of the tribal chief Roman Reigns, who, yes, he used to play for them in college, and go out and beat Georgia, then Alabama might have a shot. Clemson, you're playing South Carolina. South Carolina could knock you out. Tennessee, you're playing Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt has been upsetting the fuck out of people, including Alabama. So y'all might lose. And then fucking Notre Dame. If y'all lose to USC, what happens to you? But now the problem for Alabama is Auburn, much like Oregon State, they're 5-6, and a win here would put them in a bowl game or put them bowl eligible. And then outside of that, not much else right now. So yeah.
Cool.
We are talking about. Here's the thing about we're talking about talking about clean old fashioned hate. Georgia Tech has not won since 2016, man, and it's been a pretty depressing era for Georgia Tech since the turn of the millennia. Because they've only won
Notre Dame tried to
1, 2, 3. They've only won 4 times since 2000.
Yeah, Georgia Tech won 3 in a row against Georgia in the late 90s, if I remember correctly. I wonder whatever happened to their head coach. I heard he got shipped off to Indiana somewhere for like a week, and then they spat him back out. I don't know. Whatever happened to that son of a bitch?
Okay, explain the
joke. I think Notre Dame.
Oh. Oh, right. I remember that part now.
No. All right. For those of you that haven't seen it, go watch the Fool's Gold video. So, you know what we haven't talked about yet out of this bracket?
What?
Arizona State.
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot to mention that. Yeah.
Oh,
Arizona State. The Big 12 is absolutely – as soon as Texas and Oklahoma left, it went full-on implosion. Now everybody's just playing – because this is the thing. Everybody's just so desperate because Oklahoma had been dominating for so many years, and if it wasn't Oklahoma, then Texas somehow was having those decent years to, constantly fight. It's just like it rarely was the case of anyone else was winning that conference. In the few exceptions, you had TCU and Baylor that ended up sabotaging each other to make the first, one of the first playoffs. So they had to bring back the championship game. We had TCU pull off the craziness and then get absolutely annihilated by Georgia on national TV to where everybody stopped watching after the first quarter because that one was over so quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That it's just the Big 12 is a whole ass can of worms, and I think this would be a good.
A few weeks ago, it looked so clear. It looked like freaking BYU was just absolutely just rolling to an easy conference championship appearance, and it's just like, okay, they'll probably easily get on by because it looks like the conference is just imploding on itself. And then BYU turns around and loses 2 in a row against one of them against freaking Kansas that decided to suddenly wake up.
Yeah, I think this would be a pretty good time actually for us to briefly transition into the honest to God conference championship projections because we're entering the final week of the regular season now, and I think it's time we really kind of touch on this because we keep flirting with it. I think it's time we actually go into a little bit of the Week 14 preview a little early tonight because a lot of this playoff bracket is, it's not that controversial. And I mean, look at this damn thing, okay? Again, look at this goddamn thing. Go full screen here for a second, okay? Look at this son of a bitch. I don't think anybody here on stage or in chat can argue with how everything looks right now, this layout. If everything were to end today, I think this would be all right. I don't think anybody would be too pissed off. Alabama, sure. Clemson, sure. Ole Miss, sure. Y'all lost 3 games. Fuck you. Everybody else?
Well, Clemson hasn't lost 3.
Fair. What?
Clemson hasn't lost 3.
No, but they also blew chunks against Louisville, and that immediately disqualifies them, in my opinion, because guess what?
That's right. They have 2 losses. That's right. I forgot they had 2. I forgot.
Yeah. And Louisville lost a fucking Stanford.
Because they got rolled by Georgia and then
rolled by Georgia, yeah, sure, and lost to Louisville, Louisville proceeded to fly into a wall of fucking trees, but we press on.
Love that.
It's like Luke crashing his X-wing into Dagobah that first time.
Oh God! All right, so let's talk a little bit about Week 14. So these next couple of things here, it's going to tie into a bunch of different games coming up. and I think we're going to spend a good chunk of the rest of the show just smashing this one. But real quick, I do want to mention that Mack Brown was indeed fired by North Carolina today. North Carolina, if I recall correctly, are they bowl eligible? They are bowl eligible at 6-5, but Mack Brown will not be retained for his services. He will finish out his regular season on Saturday. He will coach the final regular season game against NC State. Nobody has confirmed if he's going to do a bowl game yet. Real quick before we go into week 14 and really break that shit down, do you guys think that Mack Brown should be allowed to, number one, coach a bowl game, and number two, do you think UNC is pulling the trigger here a little early, or do you think this is a good time?
Let him fucking coach. I mean, yeah, North Carolina's been on a free fall after losing their undefeated season, but like, is that really his fault? Come on, what are we doing here?
Honestly, I'm kind of the opposite. I say, yeah, probably might have been a good case. This is not the same Mack Brown that got him to such fame and got him like winning, like, you know, being an absolute like one of the premier coaches in college football. The game. It's like with Nick Saban in some ways. Almost recently, it's just like the game has finally started passing him by. It's just Nick Saban was able to hold on a lot longer until he was basically like last year, where it was basically like, yeah, I think Saban wanted to kind of go out as on high as possible rather than, you know, coaching and watch. We have to watch him coach an Alabama team that starts going downhill fast. You know, you didn't want to see that out of Nick Saban's like final years.
Yeah, I would say that. I know some people were like, he's at 288 wins. Why don't you let him go to 300 and then let him walk? He's, you know, done so much for both North Carolina and for Texas. He's a legendary head coach. Why not let it go? I mean, something you guys got to remember here is that time waits for no man in this sport. When you're done, man, you're fucking done. And I think that a lot of people give Mack Brown a lot of shit. I think they do. Sometimes justified, sometimes not. But there's no denying the impact that son of a bitch has had on the game. I mean, you know, the national championship with Texas, the 16 seasons total he spent at North Carolina, the work he's put into that program on and off the field.
He's been in North Carolina for 16 seasons? What?
I know that's hard to believe, but it's across 2 different tenures, if I read it correctly. He's done 16 seasons.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, what the fuck?
He was in North Carolina, went to Texas, came back to North Carolina. Anyway.
Okay. Holy fuck.
By the way, I know some people in chat are asking, like, wait, did he get fired? Did he get resigned? He got let go from Texas. Yeah, he got fired. I think Texas was doing the same thing that North Carolina is doing right now, except Texas actually had some success. Without a doubt, miles ahead of wherever the hell UNC is on a week-to-week basis. So, putting that aside, I think this was the right move. I personally wouldn't have told him he was fired until after the regular season finale. Give him an opportunity to coach a bowl game before going out, because he did earn that with his team this season. I think he deserves that. But if my computer kind of crashed out for a second, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think that the way they're going about it's a little fucked up, in my opinion. That's just me, though. I wish nothing but the best for Brown. He has deserved everything good in this world. He's done nothing wrong, in my opinion. He's just an old man that loves the game and did everything he could to win. So go put him in the Hall of Fame if he's not in there already, which he honestly should be by now if he isn't. But yeah. I just wanted to touch base on that real quick because we're about to dive into week 14 and we're probably not going to come back up. And here we go. Week 14. Let's tackle it. First off, SMU versus whom? I'm going to go ahead and bring up a graphic that our good friend Red River Duckwind sent to us a short time ago. This is the rough championship game scenarios as of this hour. So I'm going to kind of solo this for a moment so we can all kind of get a good idea of what we're looking like here. So as of right now, if we go to Conference USA, Jacksonville State is going to take on either Liberty or Western Kentucky or Sam Houston
Woo,
for the Conference USA
Bearcats!
title. The American is set in stone. We got Tulane against Army. That's already going to be happening. Tulane could wind up making the college football playoff if the football gods go their way.
They need
The
some
only other
chaos.
Yeah, they need a
We
little
need
bit of
all
chaos.
the chaos.
Yeah. Sun Belt, I'm going to mention Sun Belt because we're not going to bring them up again. Marshall or Georgia Southern's taking on Louisiana, Arkansas State, or South Alabama. Bowling Green, Miami of Ohio, or Ohio will play for the MAC. And then the other three teams that are automatically confirmed to be in right now, Georgia, SMU, Oregon. So with that said, let's take this out of full screen. Go back to the layout. I'll go back.
I want to say one joke that I said I posted on Discord, because if you noticed with the Big 12, we taught a chimpanzee the pads for teams to play in the Big 12 championship, and he hung himself.
What the fuck?
It's a
To be
meme.
clear,
I
no
swear.
chip.
No chip was
To
harmed
be
in the
clear.
making of this video.
This is what
I'm
we're
just
gonna
saying,
say.
it's a
No
meme. It's
chimps
a meme
have
I've
been
seen on the
harmed.
internet.
It's a meme that's
a
been
meme.
floating around the internet. I know. You're good. You're good. But I had to
Also,
play that
shout out
just
to
by
Mario
itself.
Harvey saying, wait, this is coming from Texas? Still chasing the Mac Brown years with one failing coach buyout at a time. SEC Shorts 2020 LSU trail.
Yeah.
Look where you are now, LSU.
LSU, how do you
Texas
explain
is
your
better than you, fuckers.
LSU? How do you answer to your terrible offense? Bo Pelini? The committee will accept that as an answer.
All right.
You're gonna have to watch Sunday to see the team we fielded.
So SMU versus who then? So again, the ACC comes down to three teams currently. We have Miami and Clemson trying to vie it out currently to make it into Charlotte for the championship. I think the scenarios are pretty straightforward here. If Miami wins, they get in no matter what Clemson does. Miami loses, Clemson's in no matter what they do against South Carolina. The question I'm going to ask you guys now, we're going to get fully in depth here because I do want to touch base. This will affect the playoffs. If Miami doesn't make the ACC championship game, do they still make the playoffs?
Maybe. I
No,
want to say a strong possible.
no,
Possible.
because now, well, okay. The only way they make it in, if Clemson gets into the championship game and then Clemson beats SMU, then SMU's out, Miami gets back in. If I'm Miami, if Miami somehow fumbles the bag against Syracuse, then they have to pray to the Tigers and to Dabo that he can spell his last name with win, would put the win in Dabo Sweeney to get the job done against SMU.
And there's this option too. SMU runs the table. Miami loses. Clemson beats South Carolina, but then they lose the championship to SMU. I think Miami would then get back. Would bounce.
That's
right
what
back
I'm saying.
in.
That's what I'm saying. Well, kind of. Yeah. No. I mean, maybe. So basically, if Miami loses, they just need one of SMU or Clemson to lose. It's a question of who, though.
And when.
Yeah.
I would wager a guess to say that I think Miami's in regardless of what happens on Saturday. The simple fact of the matter is this: 90% of their games this season, out of conference, they look dominant, and when it was in conference, they usually always found a way to win. They haven't looked great at times. The fact that Cam Ward is a Heisman candidate definitely helps them in that regard. The way they win was kind of shitty, but let's say they lose a close one to Syracuse and it's a heartbreaker and Clemson gets in. I don't think for a shadow of a second that Miami doesn't get in. If Clemson does make it to the ACC championship, though, first off, that's beating a number 15 rank South Carolina. That should jump them up the rankings just a smidge. They might end up leaping. I don't know who the hell was ranked above them. They might end up leaping Indiana and making it into that last spot. Alabama wouldn't get any movement because they are currently behind. But they would wind up, I think, leaping Indiana, getting them into that spot, knocking Indiana out. For the moment.
Because Indiana has to beat up a shitty Purdue team. So if you're valuing wins over losses here, the only thing is that Clemson has 2 L's to Indiana's 1, but Indiana lost to Ohio State. And they lost pretty convincingly.
Yeah, and I think that Indiana right now is on a pretty precarious perch here. They are literally, if you look at the bracket, they are the last one in right now. They are the last one in after that loss against Ohio State. They are the 11th seed. 12 is going to be reserved for the Big 12 champ or whoever is the 5th automatic qualifier if they're not ranked higher than 12. So that's where that stands. I think regardless of what happens, though, let's say SMU, they're going to be going to the championship game in Charlotte. They're going to be playing for the ACC title. If they win on it, obviously they get more likely they would get an automatic bye. If they lose to, say, Miami or Clemson, does SMU still get in the playoff? That's a tough question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know, man. If I'm Miami, just win just don't choke. Just win and get it done.
Well, that's the problem. Miami has a bad habit of choking at the worst possible time.
Yes, they do. They very much do.
Thank you, Mario Cristobal, for the memes.
Yeah. Hey, Oregon warned you. Oregon warned you about Cristobal.
Honestly, yeah, I kind of have to agree with you, Red. Miami's probably in no matter what. It just really depends. Because like I said, like we said before, SMU runs the table. Miami's probably in no matter what because that means Clemson. Because that either means that Miami beats Syracuse and then they lose to SMU, or that Miami lost to. We already said this. I'm sorry. I'm just repeating myself.
Okay. So I think that no matter what happens, let's say SMU, if they lose, currently they're ranked 9th in the rankings. They are 9th in the rankings, which would but they would be number 10 seed in the playoff.
SMU might stay in.
If you're wondering what the bracket means for SMU, if you look on the screen, if you're wondering what the bracketed number means, the non-bracketed number is just their ranking. The bracketed number is the seed at the playoffs. They're currently 10. If they lose the ACC championship, I don't think they get in at all just because of where they're at in the bracket.
Depends if if they play Miami and they lose a close one to Miami, they might be able to just sneak in. Maybe they might be able to sneak back in. It really depends. Now, honestly, SMU would need a lot of chaos to happen in front of them just to be on more of the safer side. Like if a bunch of teams ahead of them lose the last weeks or something, then SMU finishes before conference championship week, they find themselves more sitting at 5 or 6 seed or even 7, and then lose to say Miami in the conference championship. That might be enough to keep them in, barely.
Yeah, but would you put a 2-loss SMU in over a 3-loss Alabama? Or a potentially 2-loss Clemson? Because if in that scenario, Clemson would be out. If Miami was playing SMU,
I would have to say you lost. Honestly, I have to say if you lost 3 games, sorry, you're pretty much out. Because if it's a 2-loss SMU team, I would see the committee keeping them in no matter what. Because it's like, hey, look, they only lost twice. That's the thing. They didn't lose 3 games. Let's try to keep. One
of those losses with the ACC championship.
Let's keep the 3 losses out as long as we can, unless suddenly we have more. Unless we literally have no more. There's no more 2 seeds there's no more teams that have 2 losses that aren't within playoff contention. Because we can't dig into say the Sun Belt or something to find a 2-loss team there to throw into the playoff. Because then that would just be ridiculous.
I'm going to correct Harvey on something real quick. He just put a comment in here, and I think I should correct it. Given what happened last year, this might be a hot take, but I don't think the ACC champion is getting in if it's SMU. It must be Clemson or Miami for name recognition because money talks, bullshit walks. I agree with the statement, money talks, bullshit walks, but your take is definitely a bit too hot. And the reason why is simple. If Clemson wins the ACC championship with one loss, nobody in their right fucking mind would put in a 12-team playoff. Okay, Florida State, Florida State, they were left out of the playoff. Why were they left out of the playoff? They went undefeated and they won the ACC championship. The reason they were left out is primarily because in the second to last game of the season against Northern Alabama, they lost their starting quarterback, Jordan Travis. That's the only reason why. If they had lost their quarterback and then their backup came in and played fine, they would have made the playoffs over Alabama. Alabama beating Georgia and Florida State winning the ACC, but really, really badly, looking really shitty against a Louisville team that was easily beatable. I think that's what ultimately drove the committee to make the decision to leapfrog Alabama over Florida State. That's why that happened. This would not apply here for the simple reason that this is a 12-team playoff, that the top 5 conference champions must be represented regardless of the conference they're in, and that it has to be done by rankings. So your suggestion would say that SMU would win the ACC championship and then fall below Tulane, because that's the only way the ACC champion would miss it. Because then the Big 12 champion would need to be in there, and the AAC champion would need to be in there. You're on the show a lot, Harvey. I respect a lot of what you have to say, especially about North Dakota State and your love for the FCS squad up there. I don't see the logic in this take, to be honest with you. I'm sorry. But I understand where you're coming from, for sure. If Florida State would have gotten in, they would have lost in the playoffs badly. Oh my God, are you kidding? Michigan would have wiped their asses across the field.
And then Georgia fucking destroyed them in their bowl game.
Granted,
so it doesn't matter.
That was not the same Florida State team. Even if all of the players had not transferred, even if all the players had not entered the portal or had declared for the draft, it still would have been a blowout. But just to be clear, half of the roster was not playing for Florida State that day because they didn't want to play. Straight up. They didn't see a reason. They were either transferring or they were going to the pros. And that was it. And that did it. And I think a lot of that is also the fault of Norvell for not motivating this team to stick around and play. We need to stay off of Florida State because, good Lord, that's a video for another day.
Hey, they got one more game against
show.
Florida, and then the Doak is officially burned.
The Doak's been burning. The fire department's just not showing up.
I know. But now this is your
It
chance
is just
to
a
either
pity that
extinguish
freaking-
it. Yeah, but now you can either you have a chance to maybe take some gator meat and put it on those burning fires, or continue your trail of tears.
Okay.
It's just a pity that Florida State did get one win. It would have been great if they just hadn't. They still didn't get a single win. At that point, you have to fire Norvell. I'm sorry. I don't care how big
If
his
they lost
contract
to
is.
Charleston Southern, bye-bye.
Yeah, if they had lost to Charleston Southern, this would have been a different conversation.
Oh, that's right. They have another win.
Yeah, they beat Cal somehow. I don't know how that happened, but Cal is Cal.
Barely.
We're going to move on now. Oregon against Ohio State 2 in Indianapolis. Anybody? So Ohio State beat Indiana. That much is clear at this point that Ohio State, I think Ohio State's in the playoff regardless of if they, like I said, if they win Saturday, they're locked into the playoffs regardless. It'll be 1 versus 2 in Indianapolis for the Big Ten crown, which would be another excellent game to watch. If there's anything I could tell from the first edition that they had, that would be another excellent game. I guess let's just tinker around with this a little bit here. Again, currently in the playoffs as it stands, you got 4 Big Ten teams. I don't know if we're going to have 4 at the end of it. Do you think that, Oregon's probably is a lock at this point for the playoff. regardless of what else happens. Ohio State, I think, is a lock for the playoff, regardless of what else happens. Does Penn State need to win the Big Ten to make the playoff, or do you think they're safe?
They're probably safe. Who do they play?
Why?
Penn State they play Maryland.
Oh,
So
they beat Maryland.
We had no fucking problem against them. If Penn State had lost to Minnesota, then you have a problem.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
that would have just probably made it to where it would just be either Ohio State or Indiana that would get to come play us. Because then Penn State would have 2 losses. The other 2 have one each.
Okay.
You know, Ohio State beat Indiana. Indiana loses to Ohio State, who lost to Oregon. So there's your hierarchy.
Yeah. So
I
basically,
think
Penn State's probably safely in. They just have to beat Maryland, and they probably won't make the conference. I mean, they won't make it. Okay, let's just say Ohio State wins. Ohio State takes care of business against Michigan. Penn State's in no matter what, because after that they're not going to throw them out just because they didn't make the conference championship game. We are not going back to that first 14 playoff where freaking Baylor and TCU got screwed out of it because they freaking didn't have a conference championship game.
Okay. I would agree. I think Penn State's in regardless of what happens. I think
barring they don't lose to Maryland.
If they take care of business against Maryland, they're in. I think that's a fair assessment to make there. What I'm going to be curious to see is what their final matchup ends up being. Obviously these projected brackets, with it being Indiana against Penn State, we don't know if that's close to accurate yet. The only ones that seem to be holding firm in their spots is Penn State, Tennessee, and Ohio State right now, the 5, 6, 7. Or the 5, 6, and 9 for the most part. Let me rephrase. 5 through 9 has pretty much been stable the entire time we've had these brackets come out. It's 10 through 12 that's been moving along. It's 4 that's been moving around. And definitely the 13, 14 that's been moving around. What I'm going to be curious to see on this next one, though, is Indiana takes care of business against Purdue. Could they still be eliminated from the playoff regardless?
That one right there, I think they're keeping Indiana in right now just because of the off chance that Penn State and Ohio State completely screw up. That's my thought, because you don't want to just eliminate them all outright just because they got thrashed by Ohio State. When they still have a chance to play when they still have a chance to get the leg up over Ohio State and Penn State by making it a conference championship game. And then if they lose in blowout fashion to Oregon, I think here's the thing. Indiana, I think, probably does mostly get eliminated because they will be on the outside looking in for the conference championship game, even with one loss. They just have not. I think the committee would suddenly look at strength of schedule and look at, man, they just played almost nobody in the conference up until that point. Like, how many teams have a winning record that played against Indiana this season?
Not many.
It's like,
and again, Indiana almost lost to Michigan, so Michigan could have ended their undefeated season if Sherrone Moore wasn't a fucking idiot with the timeouts.
I would agree there. Chelsea makes a good point here in the chat. What if OSU loses this week? Indiana, Penn State also lose. OSU goes to play Oregon, loses at 2. Then Ohio State's at 3 losses, 2 to Oregon, 1 to Michigan. Will they make it in soundly still? She's asking about the most chaotic timeline for the Big Ten title. I would say no. If that were to happen, I would say we don't fucking deserve it. Straight up. That would be absolutely fucking devastating. It would be a nightmare scenario for Ohio State.
If that happens, you're firing Ryan Day immediately.
Oh, are you fucking kidding me? He would be gone in a heartbeat. You lose to Michigan
and then
4 times in a row. You lose the Big Ten title game. You don't even sniff the national championship in the playoffs. You just completely collapse at the worst possible time. I would say everybody would want his head on a pike. Yeah. I'm not even joking.
The problem
If that
with
were
this
to
sort of chaos
happen-
scenario is who from the SEC jumps back in because Ohio State gets knocked out.
if
This
is the
might be how
only-
Alabama gets in.
Yeah, because now you're looking at Indiana loses, so you're not going to keep them in, right? Penn State, I think even if Penn State loses to Maryland this weekend, they're probably still in. Oregon would win the Big Ten championship, so whatever the hell they do doesn't really mean anything because they're still number one in the nation. So at minimum, Ohio State and Indiana would both be out. And that would be but now you're asking a question. Do you rather have a 3-loss Alabama or a 3-loss Ohio State in? That's a hard question to answer there. Because Ohio State
that just depends
has
on the
been
losses.
a fairly consistent team. They're considered among the elite this season. The one Josh Pate on his podcast mentioned earlier today, I listened to it earlier today, that the SEC is full of really good teams, but no elite teams this season. So are you going to have an Alabama team that's really good but not elite in over an Ohio State team that is elite but just stumbled at the finish line? That's a tough question to answer there. I mean, for the opposite
I would value Ohio State just because of the fact of that, again, Alabama's losses are to Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, and then
Tennessee, but they're also in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tennessee is their only
So
good loss. In your case,
I just
you
wanna say
got
this.
your ass kicked by us twice.
I'm sorry.
And
I
then
want to say
somehow
this.
lost to the fucking Michigan Wolverines.
I'm sorry. I want to kind of say this. I do kind of want to say this. Red, your situation is kind of like Texas in the SEC this year. Ohio State, who have they really played?
Besides us.
Besides Oregon, besides Penn State, and Indiana that barely had Indiana that was 10-0, but look at their schedule. That's kind of the thing. Ohio State has kind of had a bit of an easier run, I would have to say, if you have to argue.
But then on the flip side of that is this: Ohio State could beat Michigan, beat us, and then be number one, which is bullshit. But it could fucking happen.
How would that be BS of them being number one if they were like the 2 seed and they beat the 1 seed? I mean, just you flip flop.
And because it's Oregon,
you would flip flop, yeah.
We beat them earlier in the season.
If Ohio State wins a close one against Oregon in a rematch, I would just flip the two of them. It's just like, okay, look, Oregon's the 2 seed overall, but in the playoff they have to go back to 5.
Yeah, I think that would be. You would automatically, like, they're both going to be in the playoff regardless if they're both in Indianapolis. Oregon's in the playoff regardless. I do not see a scenario where they are kept out. They could lose to Washington, lose the Big Ten title game. They're still going to be in the playoffs, I think.
Don't you dare fucking put that evil on me. Don't you
dare.
dare.
I'm just being realistic.
I know you are. Don't fucking jinx it. I do not want to lose to Washington. No.
Somebody's traumatized.
No.
Somebody's butt hurts.
No.
Somebody still hates Michael Penix.
Shove your Penix in the car door, bitch.
And that's enough. All right. So let's go ahead and jump to the next one. Now that we have thoroughly traumatized the chat, we do need to hit on this Big 12 shit show, unfortunately. All right. As some of you probably saw in my chaos vid,
Kent State lost. They have completed 0-12.
Kent State is 0-12. Well, shit.
Duck brings up a good point. Kent State and Florida State play each other. Loser gets relegated to FCS. See, the funniest part would be Kent State beating.
God, I would love it.
Yes.
If we could have a promotion relegation system in college football.
Yeah.
We just need that in sports in general.
Yeah, no, it'll be funny because then Florida State can't even dominate FCS level teams because then they have to go play teams like North Dakota State, Montana, shit like that.
Now,
They have to go play in the cold weather.
in that scenario,
Fuckers.
not North Dakota and Montana would have they all would have been promoted to playing, friggin' big teams.
Yeah.
Big 12 shit
Intelligent.
show. Big 12 shit show. Big 12 shit show. So thanks, Kansas, for royally fucking up everything. Honest to God. Like, Kansas has gone scorched earth, motherfucker. It is bleeding Kansas.
I am
because of
talking
Kansas
scorched
right
earth,
now.
motherfucker. I will massacre you. I will pick you up.
Yeah, it has
What
been
the
an
fuck
absolute
is that?
shit show. If you
That's
are,
from Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You would not
Yeah,
believe that's Tom Cruise in a fat suit.
I mean, Robert
Yeah.
Downey Jr. did blackface, so what the
Oh,
fuck?
yeah. I'm the dude playing a dude who's pretending to be another dude.
Yo,
Oh,
asshole! This motherfucker's dead.
that movie's funny.
I never watched the movie. I only know the meme because of Chisel Adonis.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways,
That
Big
just looks
12.
like a disappointed father.
So, Big 12 basically.
very disappointed
Kansas
in
has
you.
completely thrown everything out of whack. They beat BYU and then they turn around and beat Colorado. They took out pretty much the two front runners instantly.
I fucking called it. I called it. What if Kansas upsets Colorado? I called it.
Yeah, they also
And
beat
the
Iowa
unfortunate
State,
part-
too.
The unfortunate part is that they don't get to play another one of these teams because they have to play Baylor this week. But if Kansas beats them, they become bowl eligible.
Wait, Kansas plays Baylor?
Yes.
They're not
They
playing
do.
K-State?
No,
they
they
already
don't
play
play
K-State?
K-State. Who the
Dang.
hold on? Wait a minute. Who is Kansas State playing again? Fuck. Oh, Kansas State has to play
It's
Iowa State.
Farmageddon. It's Farmageddon for Kansas State and Iowa State this weekend.
Farmageddon.
yeah.
Look, I get it. So many there's like so many teams in the Big 12 now, but man, I wish you could keep rivalry week like I don't know. That's like the last piece that would make a great season, no matter every year.
Yeah.
It's just like everyone kind of plays their rival if they can. The Big 12 does not do that apparently anymore because there's just too many teams.
Well, Iowa should be playing Iowa State instead of Nebraska. So
Well, they already played them though.
I know that, but they should be playing them now.
I know that's what I said with the friggin' Oklahoma Missouri thing earlier. And
Yeah.
Apparently LSU and Arkansas had also played each other earlier this year. So it's just like, why not save those games for the end? And there's your rivalry week because suddenly it's back to the old with the SEC. It's back to the old 90s when the Arkansas and South Carolina first joined. LSU was,
and then not to mention Washington.
I still don't know
Washington
why
State.
LSU
Why is
does
the
not.
Apple Cup not being played in week fucking 3 and not now? Same thing with Oregon State. Why is that not now instead of back in like week 2 or 3?
I don't know. Okay, long story short, they got to figure out how to properly get these schedules better formed out so we can have these situations. But whatever, it is what it is.
Do I
Let's just-
need to play the graphic again?
No, it is
Oh.
what it is. Now let's talk. Let's just talk about the Big 12. Absolute chaos, because
Yes,
we
so-
have 9 teams that are eligible to make the Big 12 championship. 9 teams, and it's the last week. How?
I'll tell you how. Kansas, it's all your fault. They just decided to get good right now and just smash everybody at the last
Is
possible
Baylor
moment.
one of the is Baylor one of the eligible teams to make it in? If they,
I'll tell you
Route-
who the eligible teams are. I'll fucking tell you who the eligible teams
Alan,
are.
you sent
They
on Discord,
are-
Alan on Discord, you sent
I got
you
it,
sent like
I
a
got
Twitter
it,
link
I
or
got
something
it,
that shows
I
like the.
I got it. So, Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State, Colorado, Baylor, Kansas State, TCU, Texas Tech, and West Virginia all are in the hunt. So Chelsea, this is where things are going to get really fucking weird. When's the earliest we can know what the Big 12 championship is? Let me just start with this. we're gonna have a good idea of what shit's gonna be looking like Friday, because Friday at noon, Oklahoma State and Colorado go at it. If Colorado wins, that could eliminate a couple of teams. Just depends on what the combinations are.
Can you find that image he sent? Because it was text. It was a lot of text and all that stuff. But it was
I got it. Give me 2 fucking seconds. God damn. Hold on.
I apologize. My mistake. Sorry.
I got it. So hold on. Oh fuck. It would take me straight to Blue Sky. God damn it. I mean, hold on. Fuck. Let me go to Sicko's committee on Blue Sky and let me fucking find the post. Give me a minute.
Okay, well, what we have here
is
is
had an actual technical problem on this channel, and I've had to use that for the right reason.
Okay, we have right now we have at least 4 teams in the Big 12 that all they have to do is win and they're in. It's a situation where it's 4. There's 14. There are 4 teams with 2 conference losses. That's where we are with things, and then the other 5 all have, I think, 3 losses. Thank you. Here it is. Okay, 2 teams tie the scenario. So hang on. Let me look at what the Big 12.
By the way, if you want to know how West Virginia somehow is involved in all this, if they win and Baylor, BYU, Colorado, and Arizona State all lose, they get in.
Yeah.
Colorado has to lose to a 3-8 Oklahoma State team on Friday night. Baylor has to lose
Friday
to Kansas. Whatever.
Even before that,
BYU
Alabama
has to lose to Houston, and Arizona State has to lose to Arizona.
Here's the thing. Here are the 4 teams that have 2 conference losses: Arizona State, Iowa State, BYU, Colorado. For them, all they have to do is win, and then basically all the Baylor, Kansas State, TCU, Texas Tech, and West Virginia all eliminated, no matter what. So you don't even need to worry about that scenario. It will be instantly cleared up fast. Like you said, Colorado plays plays on Friday, so we will definitely have the picture will suddenly look a lot clearer by the time Saturday rolls around.
Yeah, because all Colorado needs to do is beat Oklahoma State, and suddenly West Virginia is knocked out. And then
the chaos, though, we need West Virginia to get in because of the video you made.
Oh my god!
Get the fuck up.
There is no way. Oh my gosh! A 7-5 West Virginia might end up representing the Big 12 in the playoff. That would be nuts.
No, they wouldn't, because then the American would get in with Tulane.
Oh, that's right. Oh my god! Oh, we need this. We need this chaos. We need West Virginia to somehow win it all, and then somehow get Tulane.
I'll never be able to leave my fucking studio if this happens. Yeah, we'll be hearing Country Roads all the way down from Morgantown to Arlington. Let me tell you what the most likely option is right now, looking at everything that we're standing right here. So currently, Colorado very likely to beat Oklahoma State on Friday, which would knock out West Virginia and a few other teams.
I want to quickly say one last thing, just off topic for 10 seconds. Oklahoma fans, rough year. At least it wasn't as bad as Oklahoma State. Even if we lost to Alabama.
Good point. Very good point.
There. Okay, anyways, continue. Sorry.
So the most likely matchup that I'm currently looking at right here, it appears to be BYU taking on Arizona State. And that's just strictly because yeah, that's the most likely outcome, I think. Although it would not surprise me if Colorado makes it in. I mean, BYU's got to play a pretty bad Houston team. Arizona State has to play a pretty bad Arizona team. Those two just need to win, and then they're pretty much in. Now,
Iowa has to play Kansas State, though. Iowa State. has to
Yeah,
play Kansas
Iowa
and they're both
State.
ranked.
If Iowa State wins, that's different. So, if Colorado were to, if Iowa State were to lose, it's Arizona State, BYU. If it's a 3-team tie, if Arizona State were to lose, it's Iowa State, BYU in a 3-team tie. If Colorado somehow loses, Arizona and Iowa State need to win. BYU loses, that's where the floodgates kind of open the fuck up. Because if BYU loses to Houston, have fucking fun figuring that out.
I'm a Houston alumni, but I really don't think that Houston. I don't think BYU is going to lose 3 in a row. I think they're going to get the ship righted just in time against Houston.
Well, let's say all 4 first place teams finish tied, then Arizona State, Iowa State would be the Big 12 championship matchup. BYU is out completely. And for teams entering the week 5 and 3 in the conference, they need to see at least 3 out of 4 of these first place tied teams to even have a chance. So, fancy that. I still think that BYU has the best shot of making it in, because Iowa State, I do not trust them to win Farmageddon against Kansas State. I know it's at home, but I don't trust it, quite frankly, as far as I can throw it. So we'll have to wait and see there. But Arizona State, I think, has the most clear path in. They just got to win and then let everything else fall into place. There's only one scenario where Arizona State wins and they don't make it in, and that is like you need Colorado and BYU to win. And that was week to lose, but we shall see on that one. Now, that kind of roughly explains the Big 12. Meanwhile, Mountain West, Boise State's currently awaiting their opponent. I'm going to run down this one briefly because it's pretty simple to understand. We are waiting on who's going to win between either Colorado State and UNLV. They both don't play each other, but if Colorado State beats Utah State on Friday, they just need UNLV to lose on Saturday to Nevada. If UNLV beats Nevada Saturday night, they lock up a spot in the conference title game against Boise State and Boise. If they lose and Colorado State wins, as long as if that's the case, then Colorado State should get in. However, there could be a scenario where we have to go to community rankings for a tie. So not much else we're put on there. Just 2 of those guys left. And then finally, Lone Star Showdown, SEC. That's the biggest one deck this weekend. Kyle Field is about to light the fuck up. Georgia is a lock for the SEC title game. This is after running every single tiebreaker scenario. The SEC determined that after all the chaos Saturday, every single scenario they have as possible puts Georgia in the title game. Now, their opponent is kind of what we all thought one of the opponents was going to be for the last 3 weeks. It's either going to be Texas or Texas A&M. A&M did lose to Auburn, but they still control their destiny because if they were to beat Texas, they would tie them in the conference play.
And have the tiebreaker.
And therefore they would get in. So, who do you got?
I want Texas A&M. I want Texas A&M so bad because they have never been to the SEC championship all these years. And again, make SEC shorts kind of eat a plate of crow because of that joke when they did the East and West find out they've been fired. It's like well, keeping Texas A&M and Georgia from playing each other is an SEC tradition, and we intend to keep it.
Alan?
Whoever it is that, bro, I want Texas to win because I want them to get redemption for getting steamrolled. Maybe, whatever. I want Texas A&M to win because of Ag, but I have this funny feeling whoever wins is going to get steamrolled by Georgia. Unless Carson Beck throws 500 interceptions again.
I don't know why. Who's the backup for Georgia? Is he any good? That's the thing. That's the thing. I mean, Carson Beck, man, he's just been he's been really kind of a liability almost at times.
No, their backup is not quite ready for this kind of a spotlight yet.
Oh, we almost forgot. Quinn Ewers is hurt.
Yeah, he's got a
Oh
sprained
shit!
ankle, I
Yeah.
heard.
So honestly, sit him. Play Archie Manning from the start. Play Arch Manning
No.
from the start of the game.
No.
That's the thing. Okay,
No.
but wait.
No.
If that's the case, then that means that somehow that Texas is completely eliminated altogether. It doesn't matter now because Quinn Ewers is hurt. Your quarterback's hurt. That's the rule apparently.
No, golly, no.
I know, I
First
know.
off, good Lord, that is not happening.
I was seeing it on Twitter and Blue Sky. I was seeing
I
it.
know.
Yeah. No, I imagine Arch Manning does that, and he beats Georgia for Texas, bro. Like, how many times did Peyton Manning beat Georgia during his career? And then how many times did Eli Manning do it? And then watch Arch Manning do it.
I would not
Because remember,
put any money on Arch
because
Manning
remember-
starting Saturday.
Well, why? Because here's the problem. Quinn Ewers fucking sucked against Georgia the first time. Sucked. They had him figured out.
They
You
are
know that
playing
you
Texas
have
A&M.
Ewers.
You can't. Yes, and you have a very young, raw quarterback in Archie Manning, who, quite frankly, needs a little more experience because he did play a few snaps in that Georgia game. He won much better.
Yeah, because Georgia.
I'm just saying.
Georgia's better than Texas in the trenches. Let's be real. They are. There's no denying
Okay.
it.
Then why are you leaving? Why are you not going to play the best quarterback on your roster?
He's
against
hurt.
If the
Texas
best
A&M?
quarterback is fucking hurt, then you're asking him to get hurt more.
That's the
And
thing.
you need.
I gotta look it up. I'm sorry, I'm looking this up.
Need
You
to get off to a
okay?
good start
Everybody,
against Georgia
shut
if you
the
even
fuck
get
up.
that far.
Okay, hush. That's enough. I'm going to tell you why they're going to start Quinn Ewers. The only way he's not playing is if he's not fucking walking. You understand? There is no way on God's green earth that boy is not going to play on Saturday. As long as he can walk, he can play. A half-healthy Quinn Ewers, I think, is still better than a fully healthy Archie Manning for one good reason. He has the wherewithal and the mindset of a veteran quarterback that Archie just straight up does not fucking have right now. And that's not his fault, but he needs more experience. And if you're looking for experience, playing the game of your life against Texas A&M is not the one to do it in. What is it, Akbar?
Per Anwar Richardson of OrangeBloods.com. Ewers diagnosed as a mild ankle sprain. He's expected to start against Texas A&M.
There you go.
Okay, but if he fucks it up more,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Sit on your ass for 2-3 weeks and wait for your home game. He's gonna play regardless. He's gonna get a couple weeks off. He'll heal
Oh
up
yeah,
fine.
that's right. I forget that you get a couple weeks off, mostly because of Army Navy.
Yeah, like everyone's throwing the diatribe down to start Archie Manning. He can't get it. This is the end of the season. Like, this is it. This is the last game. It's Lone Star Show. It's the Lone Star Shootout, for God's sake. You haven't played Texas A&M in over a decade. You're going to sit your best quarterback because you're afraid he's going to get hurt for the playoffs? Fuck. Conference championships mean something, man. It means a first-round bye all the way to the end of December. There's a big-ass difference between sitting on your ass.
Fine. But if Texas gets out to a big-ass lead in the first half, then you fucking sit Ewers in the second half.
Well,
Yeah.
no shit. Nobody's arguing that.
Unless although it fully depends, because for crying out loud, Texas A&M was down 21 against Auburn, and they came back and had the lead near the end of the game.
All right.
Again, why the freak A&M did you have to?
Well,
lose?
A&M dropped it on
overtime.
that last conversion.
I know he had
We're
it. It was the
going-
easiest catch ever, and he dropped it.
We're going to overtime in
Butterfingers.
Akron.
What?
Toledo has missed the game winner. They're going to overtime in Akron. That'll be interesting.
All
right.
Oh my!
Now,
Thank you.
Alan, you got something pulled
Yes.
up over here. It's on the docket for the show. Would you like to show the class what you brought today?
Yes,
Shane,
I
this
do.
is the fifth. I mean, this is the seventh week in a row you've showed Ultra Lord in class.
Fuck you. UMass Football's NIL Collective, the Midnight Ride, which is a damn good NIL Collective name, by the way, has created and unveiled a trophy for the UMass-UConn rivalry. The trophy is made in Mass. The bean pot is from Boston, early 1900s, and the base is made of oak for the Connecticut Charter Oak. The winner takes it home. I like this.
Yeah, I like this too because it's based off of the old Yankee Conference trophy from way back in the day. That's what the reference photo is on the right. The new trophy is on the left. The old photo is on the right for the Yankee Conference, which is an old FCS conference from back in the 70s and 80s, I think. So that's great. I mean, I love that. I fucking love that so goddamn much. It's a beautiful little trophy. It's so New England. That's what I really like about it. It's just so fucking New England.
Yep.
You can
It's
stain
really,
clam
really
chowder
nice.
in it.
Yeah, you can drink clam chowder out of that son of a bitch. That's awesome.
This is an outrage.
Yeah.
I am not some clumsy Clouseau esquator. Oh my gosh, I just saw it. The Ole Miss peeing in the end zone again.
What?
Do you remember that dude that cost Ole Miss the game? He cost the Egg Bowl a couple years back because he pretended to pee in the end zone.
Oh,
animal.
yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Where's the FCS playoff bracket? Because, wait a minute. I want to show that too. I can find it.
Yeah, I haven't followed FCS.
Hello, got it.
Got
it.
Pull it
Well,
up.
hey, my home state is in this fucking bracket. We're the 16th ranked team in the fucking FCS.
Can we zoom
We
in?
have to
I
play
can barely
UT
read it.
Martin first round, and if we win that game, then we got to go play fucking Montana State, the number 1 overall.
Can we
By the
zoom
way, yeah, hold on. This
I can't
isn't
read
the
any of
best
that.
looking. Shit, it's not gonna. Hold on, I have to open it in a separate tab. Give me a second.
Okay.
There we go. All right, hold on, and then stop sharing that, and then hold on. Wait a minute. There we go.
Them.
Ah, shit. There we go. There. It's up now. Oh. So this is the top half of the bracket, as you can see. Montana State, South Dakota State, UIW, Idaho, and then down here, UC Davis, Mercer, North Dakota State, and South Dakota are the
Hey, look, Abilene Christian. The guys that nearly beat Texas Tech.
yeah. They're all the top 8. So your first round matchups, UNH versus UT Martin, Richmond against Lehigh, Montana against Tennessee State, Villanova against Eastern Kentucky, Rhode Island against Central Connecticut State, Abilene Christian against Northern Arizona, Tarleton State against Drake, and Illinois State versus Southeast Missouri State.
Drake? The hell you doing here?
I remember them from with Wichita State used to play in the wait, were they in the Missouri Valley?
Probably. So I don't know jack shit about this, but UNH supremacy. Suck on some Wildcats. No, it's probably gonna be one of the top 4 that wins. Let's be real.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
of course.
I
It's
mean,
gonna be one of the powers.
FCS, it's a lot of fun, but it's
FCS.
usually you're either looking at the Montana schools or the Dakota schools 9 times out of 10 when it comes to FCS. So, well,
Yeah.
gentlemen, this was a stream.
By the
One of the
way,
streams of all
Akron
time.
scored first in overtime, touchdown.
Mhm.
Man, I wish we could go back to
Billy
those.
Wolves out and find Charles
I-
Phillip on a wheel route for a 25-yard score.
I don't care. I want to go back to the old overtime rule where it was the craziness that was the 7 overtimes LSU Texas A&M. I want to go back to that. That
Yes,
was fun.
that's how it should be. Forever and ever, amen.
Just after 2 overtimes, you have to go for the 2-point if you do if you get a touchdown.
Well,
Yeah.
either way,
Super Mario RPG. Drake is going to get so exposed so much in the first year. I can't. Fuck you, Drake. Your lawsuit admits you.
What the f was that?
Allegedly.
Another word. Do not say another word. Good God. All
I
right,
break the
guys.
law every day while playing Grand Theft Auto.
Okay. So with that all
Let's go.
said, this has been This Week in College Football. Thank you very much for joining us this evening while we discuss this playoff bracket. We will be back Saturday for live streaming at least one college football game. I still haven't made up my mind yet which one I'm going to do. One game on Saturday will be live streamed on the channel, and then we will be back with This Week in College Football again on Tuesday, as usual, same time, same place, same channel. I have been Red, Alan, Akbar. Thanks again for joining me with your help this week, guys. It's been a lot of fun as always, and I will catch you guys next week. Be careful out there, and happy Thanksgiving, and I hope you all have a big fat turkey leg to eat with your mashed potatoes on Thursday. Take care, y'all.
Mac and cheese.